ACDC, man. One of, if not the best hard rock bands of all time. Throughout the decades, they've banged out 16 stellar full-length albums while touring relentlessly for over 40 years straight. These guys are the f***ing epitome of a blue-collar, hard-rockin' band. Most fans separate the band in eras. The Bon Scott era of the 70s and the Brian Johnson era from the 80s on. I dig all of their songs, from Scott's sleazy charm to Brian's badass belting. Since I don't think we'll get another full-length AC/DC album, it's a good time now to rank their albums. Let's go. Kicking it off, number 16, the 2020 release, Power Up. Obviously their most recent album, and it was a tribute to Malcolm Young, the late Malcolm Young. All songs credited to Malcolm and Angus. These were mostly all older songs kicking around that Angus ended up digging in the vault for and reworking. And I might get some heat for this because this album was pretty critically acclaimed. A lot of fans liked it, critics liked it. Pretty solid album. And I think it's a pretty good album that they're going out on. But it still comes in at number 16 for me. Technically the worst AC/DC album, in my opinion, even though I don't want to use the word worst to describe it. It's a solid album, obviously. I mean, it's an aging AC/DC. It's still a really solid effort. The singles, not really what I liked. You know, they let it off with Shot in the Dark, which was pretty underwhelming for me. Realize, Rejection, Shot in the Dark, first 3 tracks on the album. They sound kind of forced to me. Sounds kind of like Angus is actually trying to write a hit, something I've never said. Maybe that's the absence of Malcolm Young, I don't know. But I mean, the production on this album is great. First 3 tracks, I'm pretty sure they were the first 3 singles. They didn't really do it for me. Rejection, I dig that more than Realize and Shot in the Dark. Through the Mist of Time is a really powerful song. It feels like the most important song on the album. But it's like mid-tier for me in regards to this album. Kick You When You're Down. Now this is a kick-ass song. Probably my favorite on the album. This is what old AC/DC should sound like, an aging AC/DC. Witch's Spell has some really good vocals, actually. It's kind of crazy how he sounds more like the 80s now compared to the Donald Duck sound through the 90s. That's kind of funny. But yeah, that's a really good song, Kick You When You're Down. The pre-chorus, just hot. Demon Fire has one of the best riffs on the album. It's just a classic AC/DC riff, but I'm not really a big fan of the chorus at all. Still a catchy song. Wild Reputation, good song. No Man's Land, pretty solid. Systems Down, solid. Money Shot, towards the bottom of the album for me, might be the worst song on the album. Again, I don't like using that term, the worst, but I mean, it is what it is. And then Code Red, I love this closer. It's got a great chorus. Probably my favorite song on the album with Kick You When You're Down. This is just straight up cruising music. The slow grinding riff, so badass. Kind of reminds me of Emission Control, the album closer on Rock or Bust. But yeah, I mean, I really dig the album. It's a good one to go out on. It's nice to see they didn't go out with a whimper. It sucks that they couldn't tour this album. Haven't toured since 2015 with Brian Johnson. It was a nice time when they released this album because we were about like 6 or 7 months into the coronavirus. I guess you can't say that on YouTube, Jesus Christ. We were like 6 months into it. It was pretty doom and gloom. And AC/DC came out with an album. I mean, fuck yeah. That certainly cheered a lot of us up, got us going, got us rocking. But yeah, number 16, Power Up. Number 15, 2000's Stiff Upper Lip. All songs written by Angus and Malcolm. Maybe Power Up will age like fine wine and hop over this album and maybe one more over time. Because this album just never really did it for me. It still packs a little bit of a punch. These songs, the tempo's pretty slowed down on most of them. Yeah, and the album just never did it for me like the other albums do. Stiff Upper Lip, pretty much obviously the title track, lead single, never really did it for me. I mean, it's got some decent parts when it kicks in towards the beginning. Really cool, but the song just didn't really do it for me. Meltdown, pretty cool song. House of Jazz. Now this one I really like. I mean, Brian is he's just belting his raspy Donald Ducky kind of voice, but it works. It sounds really good. And you know, that raspy voice really does suit these slow grinding riffs of this album. But House of Jazz, damn, Brian just rips it up. Hold Me Back, Can't Hold Me Back, really not that good of a song. totally forgettable. Safe in New York City. This one's a banger. Definitely a unique song. The song is structured uniquely. Really cool song, and definitely will get you going. Can't Stand Still kind of falls into the Hold Me Back category. It's really not a good song. I mean, I'm not going to say that. I mean, it's a good... I'm judging these all on the ACDC ranking, on the ACDC scale. And, I mean, there's very high standards on the ACDC scale. Can't Stand Still never did it for me. Can't Stop Rock and Roll. This is one of those slow grinding songs, but it is so good. Brian's vocals shine. I mean, just great, simple riff. Just rocks. Can't Stop Rock and Roll. Most anthemic song on the album by far. One of AC/DC's biggest anthems. The song rocks. Just so underrated. Satellite Blues. They decided to make this one a single. Never saw why. The song never did it for me at all. Falls into that lower tier on the album. Damned. I'll Be Damned. Yeah, Brian's vocals. They shine on this one too. Really good song. Never skip that one. Come and Get It. The song's alright. Another slow grinder. It's got those cool little backing vocals in the chorus, the talk back. I don't know if that's Angus or what. It just sounds so cool. It sounds so AC/DC. All Screwed Up. Was never really a big fan of that one. Kind of a forgettable song. Bottom tier song on this album. And Give It Up. Just, I mean, another song that just really doesn't do it for me on this album. A lot of forgettable tracks, which is why it ranks so low. And I could definitely see in a year or two Power Up just jumping over this one, and Stiff Upper Lip bringing up the caboose, because this album just doesn't do it for me on the AC/DC scale. Number 14, the 1990 release, The Razor's Edge. From this album onward, all lyrics were written by Angus and Malcolm. So from this album on, just every track since 1990 written only by Angus and Malcolm. I'm sure Brian had to contribute parts here or there, and I hate how they don't give any credit to drummer or bassist for anything, but whatever. This album was a huge hit at release, and it does have some all-time tracks on it. Obviously Thunderstruck, Money Talks, and some great deeper cuts too. But this, in my opinion, was the first album to be kind of hindered by Brian's strained vocals. But the thing is, I loved Brian's vocals on Ballbreaker. Pretty good on Stiff Upper Lip, and in the more modern albums as well. This is definitely Brian's worst vocal performance, in my opinion. But checking out the track list, opening up with Thunderstruck, just a fucking classic. Don't even need to say anything else about that. Fire Your Guns just comes out and smacks you right in the fucking face. The riff is just ripping. Just a killer guitar. And Brian goes all out on this one, and it works. He's really got that Ballbreaker, Stiff Upper Lip voice going. But like in Thunderstruck, there's just some parts that just, I wish he recorded Thunderstruck a few years prior. I mean, imagine if he recorded Thunderstruck vocals in 1980. Holy shit, that song would be even fucking better. Money Talks. All in all, probably the best track on the album for me. Just great writing, great all around. Just what a all-timer. The Razor's Edge. Now this is what I'm talking about. Dark, ominous, badass. It's kind of like the Hell's Bells fucking sequel. But after this song, the album kind of drops off pretty badly. Following it up, Mistress for Christmas. This song just feels out of place. A fucking Christmas song on an AC/DC album? I know it's not a Christmas song, but I mean, it kind of is in theme. I want a Mistress for Christmas. Just pretty lame. I think it's one of their worst songs, all in all. Rock Your Heart Out. Pretty standard song. Another one of their worst songs, in my opinion. The chorus is bad, and probably one of Brian's worst vocal performances, honestly. Are You Ready? Pretty decent AC/DC song. It's actually the current theme of WWE SmackDown. I was super surprised when I first heard it a few years ago. Pretty cool though. I mean, it's the Are You Ready chorus is pretty good, but Brian's vocals just sound super strained on it. Pretty simple song. Got You by the Balls. I really like this one. It's got that AC/DC charm all over it. It's actually got some Bon era vibes for me. I really love that song. One of the best on the album for me. Shot of Love, just never really did it for me. Pretty standard. Bottom tier AC/DC song. Let's Make It, standard. No further comment. Goodbye and Good Riddance to Bad Luck. This one's pretty solid. Middle tier on this album. It's a cool song. I dig it. I usually don't skip it. And then we finish it off with If You Dare. It's kind of an interesting change of pace, but I love that part in the chorus where it's like, come outside, come outside. It's just really cool song. Pretty fun song to close the album with. But yeah, number 14, The Razor's Edge. Number 13, 1988's Blow Up Your Video. One of the few ACDC albums, along with Power Up, to be titled not after one of the songs, even though Blow Up Your Video is a lyric and that's the way I want to rock and roll. This album's alright. It's solid, and it's grown on me in the past, especially over the last year or two, because a lot of fans really do not enjoy this one, and it's probably on the bottom of probably half of the ACDC fans list if they had to rank all of the albums. It's got some really good songs though. Some Sin for Nothing, Two's Up, Mean Streak, Go Zone. Just some really cool songs, but the lesser songs on the album do definitely slack. I don't really like the production. The production on this one and on Fly to the Wall, or Fly on the Wall, the mixing is just, it's not good. The sound sounds kind of muffled. Those two albums, and this one in particular, the mix just really kind of hold the album back, in my opinion. But starting it off with Heat Seeker, pretty solid song. Pretty good opener. No complaints with it. That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. It never really did it for me. I feel like they wanted that song to be like kind of the title track, so to speak, of the album, the big song. But it just never really did it for me too much. Mean Streak, it's a cool, fun little song. One of the better ones on the album. It's got some charm. It's just a good vibe. The song has a good vibe to it. Really like it. Cool riff, cool lyrics, everything. Go Zone, another really cool song. That Go Zone chorus is just so fucking good. Kissin' Dynamite never really did much for me, in my opinion. A lower tier song. Nick of Time, same with that one. Just those two songs. Pretty lame back to back for an AC/DC album. Some Sin for Nothing, honestly probably my favorite track on the album. It's really grown on me. It's just some of the best lyrics. It's a top tier lyrical AC/DC song. This really awesome song. Really grew on me in the last few years. Rough Stuff, decent song, kind of a lower tier on the album. Two's Up, it's fun. Kind of a longer song, coming in at over 5 minutes. It's got a really cool sound to it. This Means War. I mean, it's pretty upbeat. It's got some good parts, but all in all, mid-tier, shading towards lower tier. Blow Up Your Video, 1988, my 13th favorite AC/DC album. Honestly, man, if Some Sin for Nothing wasn't on this album, this might be number 16. But I really do love that song, and it's pretty close up at the top. You know, numbers like 13 through 16 on this list really could be interchangeable, but this is just how I'm feeling right this minute. Number 12, 1995's Ballbreaker. This album rocks, man. Kind of the lyrics are they kind of turn me off a little bit, just because at first I always thought it was Brian Johnson that wrote these lyrics, but then I learned that all the lyrics were Angus and Malcolm. Jesus Christ, they were fucking horny when they were writing this album, because I mean there's just the Honey Roll. I mean, there's just some dirty songs. Cover You in Oil. They took it a little bit too far, in my opinion. It just sounds like kind of this teenage boy horniness going on, but whatever. The songs still rock, and the track listing is, I mean, it's got some stinkers and it's got some rockers. Hard as a Rock. I mean, never really did it for me, but there you go. Hard as a Rock. Opening it up. Cover You in Oil again. I mean, just never really did it for me. Tend to skip that song when it comes up. The Fuhrer. Now this song rocks. It's kind of got that ominous tone to it, just kind of like The Razor's Edge. Really cool song. Boogeyman. Obviously shades of Night Prowler. Bon Scott song. Never did it for me, along with Night Prowler. Don't really like these two songs. Bottom tier. Boogeyman, bottom tier song. The Honey Roll. Song actually kicks ass. It's a long grinding song, 5.5 minutes, but does kind of kick ass. It's where the wordplay in this song works for me a lot better, and just the ending of this song, holy shit, the ending just kicks ass. That outro, Burning Alive, Pretty cool song. This one and Hail Caesar, they got a different vibe to them, and it's pretty cool. They rock pretty hard, both over 5 minutes long. Pretty solid songs, upper mid-tier songs on this album. Love Bomb, never did it for me. Might be the worst on the album in my opinion. Caught With Your Pants Down, lower tier in regards to this album, but I mean it's a solid song. When it comes on, it's kind of always nice to hear, just because I usually skip it. So when I hear it, I'm like, okay, cool, something kind of fresh, but pretty skippable song. Whiskey on the Rocks, the song kicks ass. Love Whiskey on the Rocks, just really, really cool song. Great riff, great vocals, great everything. Ballbreaker, closing the album, the title track, 4.5 minutes of fucking kick-ass rock and roll. My favorite track on the album, bar none. And when they did this song live, mid-90s, whew, it kicked ass, man. Even, I mean, in the 90s and the 2000s, you listen to this. I don't have a lot of those 90s, 2000s live cuts downloaded on my phone just because Brian's vocals just can't carry the track. I'd rather listen to the studio track or an 80s live version of the track. But when it comes to Ballbreaker, Brian knocks that shit out of the fucking park, swinging from the ball, from the wrecking ball, 20 feet high. Just what a time, what a track. Great song, pretty solid album. It rocks pretty damn hard. So number 12. Number 11, a Bon Scott album finally debuts on the list. Dirty Deeds, Done Dirt Cheap from 1976. The album kicks off with Dirty Deeds. What a song. I mean, the song kicks ass. Unfortunately, it kind of tempers down from there. I mean, there's still some solid, pretty all-time ACDC songs coming up, but there's not many. But yeah, Dirty Deeds kicks us off. Great song, all-timer. Love at First Feel is alright. Big Balls is, you know, a fan favorite, cult classic type song. It's good, but I've always preferred She's Got Balls over Big Balls. Rocker, I mean, just smacks you right in the fucking face. Rocker goes hard. Great song. Problem Child. Whew. A nearly 6-minute just banger. Problem Child is a complete banger. Just a great song. It's got Bon Scott written all over it. It's like Bon Scott's like... This song just has Bon Scott written all over it. Just what a song. There's going to be some rockin'. Great song. Love how Bon just ends it on at the show tonight. Just a really, really good song. Really fun song. Classic AC/DC. Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire. Fucking 7-minute long song. This might be the longest AC/DC song. And it's really good. It's really, really good. Some really nice lyrics. Bon does shine on this album. His lyricism definitely shines. There's just 10 better AC/DC albums for me. Still a really solid album though. Nothing to sneeze at. Coming at the end of the album, we got Ride On and Squealer. Ride On is kind of like the closest thing to a ballad AC/DC's ever done. Really cool, chill song. Love it. It's just a really, really good song. A total change of pace on an AC/DC album, and it's a fan favorite for sure. Squealer, not my favorite song on the album. Definitely towards the bottom in my opinion, and it always pisses me off. One of my least favorite songs on the album is the album closer. I mean, Ain't No Fun could have been the closer. There's gonna be some rockin'. I mean, honestly, Problem Child should have closed this fucking album, no doubt. And I know in the mid-70s, just to address this, I know there were some Australian releases of TNT and a couple other albums, and the songs kind of got mixed and matched amongst the albums compared to the international releases and the US releases. I'm just going off of the US releases, the international releases, just to keep everything simple. I know Problem Child has appeared on a couple albums and stuff like that. Going strictly off the US albums. But yeah, Dirty Deeds coming in at number 11. Number 10, Black Ice from 2008. This album was like an AC/DC resurgence. I remember being like 10 years old and I had a Black Ice t-shirt just because, I mean, this album, it crossed generations apparently. I was 10 years old and rocking out to it. But the album kicks ass. It does suffer from having too many songs. Definitely could forget about some songs like Wheels, Spoiling for a Fight, Smash and Grab. It's got a lot of throwaways, but it's also got a lot of fucking bangers. It's actually got a top 5 AC/DC song of all time for me. Of all time. I mean, I might not be speaking objectively there because, I mean, AC/DC has some great hits, but you know how it is when you're a giant fan of a band. The hits just kind of start to fade away, and you like your specific deep cuts. But we'll get to that. It kicks off with Rock and Roll Train, a great song. Became a live staple, and for good reason. The song is anthemic. It's great. It's a classic AC/DC track. Skies on Fire, another great song. Two amazing songs out the gate. Just classic, an aging AC/DC, a mature AC/DC. Just sounds awesome. Big Jack is alright. Never really did it for me. Kind of like a Don't Mess Around with Jim, Bad Leroy Brown, Jim Croce kind of vibe to it. Never really did much for me. And then we go through some stinkers, honestly. Anything Goes. War Machine's actually good. Not going to call that a stinker, but Anything Goes, Smash and Grab, Spoiling for a Fight. I mean, Spoiling for a Fight, I guess, is decent. But Wheels is probably my least favorite song on the album. I mean, the chorus is just... How boring is that chorus? Decibel, cool song. Really cool song. Decibel always felt like a Black Ice light to me. Kind of like a lesser version of Black Ice. Pretty similar vibe. But really good song. Stormy Mayday, great song. Stormy Mayday, really good. An epic song, honestly. She Likes Rock and Roll, usually skip that one. Money Made, decent song, I guess. It's kind of similar to Hard Times, but I like Hard Times a lot better on Rock or Bust. Rock and Roll Dream, pretty cool song. It's got some really good production to it. Another one of the more epicer songs. Epicer, that's not a word. One of the more epic songs on the album. Rockin' All the Way, decent song. It's got some good lyrics, a good vocal performance from Brian, and then we close it off with Black Ice. Yes, this is a top 5 AC/DC song for me. When I do my top 15 AC/DC song video or whatever it is, Black Ice will be towards the top. I mean, just what a song. A perfect song, man. It's got fucking everything. It is just killer. It's got the riff. It's got the really cool, ominous lyrics, great vocals from Brian, great solos, a great finish to the song, and just an amazing way to close this album. I just said I hate it when a track I don't like closes the album. Well, I fucking love it when my favorite track on the album closes the damn album. Number 10, 2008's Black Ice. Number 9, 2014's Rock or Bust. Immediately following Black Ice, well, not immediately, 6 years later, Rock or Bust comes out, and it just barely edges out Black Ice. Pretty much the only reason why I let it edge it out is just because it doesn't have those filler tracks. It's, I'm not going to say it's all killer, no filler, but it cuts out some of the fat, and it's a really solid album. I mean, Brian Johnson, I forget how old he exactly was, mid-50s I'm guessing when he tracked these vocals, maybe even 60 years old. I mean, he puts on a great performance. Album kicks off with the Rock or Bust, a 3-minute, just solid song, nothing special. I do love the title Rock or Bust. I love that title for the album, but just the song Rock or Bust, it just never really did it for me. Play Ball, one of my least favorite songs on the album. I know a lot of people like it, but this one and Rock the Blues Away. The album does not start strong for me. Those first 3 tracks, similar to Power Up, just not a good start, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like Play Ball. Rock or Bust is solid. Opened up the shows for the Rock or Bust tour. But then track 4, Misadventure, this is where the album takes off. Misadventure is a grooving song, an upbeat song. It's got some really cool background vocals. Brian rips it up. Misadventure, what a great song. Dogs of War, the most epic song on the album probably. And it's good. It's a really cool song. Got some rock and roll thunder. Kick-ass song. 3 bangers right in a row. Then Hard Times. Nothing to sneeze at. Hard Times, really good song. Just quick, 2-minute, 44-second rocker. I really like that one, like the lyrics. Baptism by Fire. It's alright. Pretty upbeat song. Rocks pretty hard, but I do skip it most of the time when it comes on. Rock the House. Might be my favorite song on the album. You know what? It is. Rock the House is my favorite song on this album. Just a sleazy song. What a great riff. It's just, what a party this song is. What a party. I mean, it's a sexy song. It is just so good. It rocks so hard. Never skip it. It's actually it's actually my alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning, waking up to this song. It gets me up. Sweet Candy, pretty similar song to Rock the House. Similar vibe. Sweet Candy does straight up singing about a stripper though. But 3-minute solid rock song. Emission Control ends it. It's got a slow grinding riff, and I do think this is a great closer to the album. It's a really solid, seriously solid song, and it closes a pretty damn solid album for a band this long into their career. Number 8, 1981's For Those About to Rock. We salute you. This album features some of the best Brian Johnson vocals of his damn life. It's definitely not him holding this album back. What makes this album rank number 8 for me, because it could be much higher, but what makes it be number 8 in a mid-level AC/DC album for me is so many of these songs just sound the same. You could put 6 of them together and it could be just like a 14-minute song, just changing it up a little bit as it goes, because some of these songs they just go together so much. I mean, it does have some amazing songs. I mean, For Those About to Rock, what a way to start an album. One of their all-time songs, and turned out to be the closer for pretty much every AC/DC show from there on out. Great opener to the album. Put the Finger on You, great song. Most of these songs are all good. I mean, they're all hard rocking. They all got kind of that devilish feel. Let's Get It Up, great song. The horniest song on the album for sure, but some great lyrics. I mean, just great writing on that song. Inject the Venom, great song. Snowballed, great song. Evil Walks, Evil Walks and Breaking the Rules are probably the lowest on the album for me. COD, Care of the Devil, pretty sure that's what it stands for. I thought it was like Call Out the Devil, but I'm pretty sure it's Care of the Devil. It's a good song, solid song. Breaking the Rules falls in with Evil Walks for me, just lower tier for this album. Night of the Long Knives. This song is kind of like a change of pace on the album. It's one of the few songs, this one and For Those About to Rock, kind of have their own specific vibe to them. This one's got kind of like a groovy, really cool riff. The chorus is kind of lacking, but the rest of the song is amazing. It's one of my favorite riffs on the album. Closing out with Spellbound. I mean, Spellbound and Snowballed have some of the best Brian Johnson vocals ever. I mean, this album is really solid, and maybe, I mean, I'll wake up tomorrow and it'll be number 5 on my list, but just all these songs just sound so much alike. I guess Let's Get It Up is kind of apart from the rest, but Put the Finger on You, Inject the Venom, Snowballed, COD, Spellbound, I mean, those songs could all just be one big, like, 16-minute song, you know? That's the feeling I always get when I listen to this album from start to finish. That might be one of my more controversial takes of this video, is my opinion on this album, but it's just how I feel about it. And I wasn't alive in 1981, so the fact that this album just wasn't on the same level as Back in Black, that doesn't apply to my list. I mean, I found all these albums pretty much at the same time. It's not like I was a kid being let down in 1981 because this album just didn't sound like Back in Black or it wasn't as good. That feeling just doesn't apply to me. But all in all, number 8. Number 7. The next Bon Scott album on the list, High Voltage, came out in 1976. Kicks off with It's a Long Way to the Top, If You Want to Rock and Roll. One of the songs actually has a different instrument besides a guitar, bass, or drum. It's got Bon's bagpipes, a song they never performed live after the passing of Bon Scott. It's one of his trademark tunes with that bagpipe going. Just what an anthemic song, what an all-timer. Rock and Roll Singer coming in right after it. I mean, this album kicks off with 4 5-minute plus songs right out the gate. Rock and Roll Singer, really cool song. Rock and Roll Singer, kind of an inspiring song, really cool song. The Jack, pretty good. Some good wordplay from Bon. Just a classic old 70s AC/DC sleaze. Livewire, great song. Just a classic song from start to finish, man. That song's a trip. TNT, obviously an all-timer. TNT and Dirty Deeds have always been right up there, like kind of similar songs to me. TNT and Dirty Deeds was kind of like the sequel to TNT. I mean, obviously an all-timer. Can I Sit Next to You, Girl? Pretty sure this was like the earliest AC/DC song. One of them. I know that first singer they had, Dave Evans. This was kind of like his song that everyone heard him sing. They did it live. It's a decent track. Little Lover, love this one. It's a change of pace kind of song. 5 minutes, 40 seconds, really cool song. She's Got Balls. I love this song. I love She's Got Balls. Just this whole album, it kind of has a similar vibe, which I kind of said about for those about to rock. But these songs all sound unique. They all sound different. But at the same time, they're all on that same high voltage vibe. This album is just really cool. And we finish it off with High Voltage, a great closer to the album. And just a super solid album all the way around. Number 6, going back to back with some Bon Scott stuff, 1978's Powerage. Amazing album. Rock and Roll Damnation, right off the bat, a great song. Down Payment Blues right after, a 6-minute awesome song. Great lyrics from Bon. Just a great way to open the album up. Give Me a Bullet, great song. A good classic 3-minute rocker. And then we get Riff Raff. I mean, just look at this line of songs. Riff Raff, Sin City, What's Next to the Moon, Gone Shootin', Up to My Neck in You, Kicked in the Fucking Teeth. And this album just rips. Give Me a Bullet, great song. Riff Raff, amazing song. Probably my favorite on the album. Just what a riff. The song is just a riot. Sin City, an amazing song. What's Next to the Moon, great song. Mid-tier on this album, but really good song. Fun fact, it's one of my dad's favorite deep cuts of any AC/DC song. Gone Shootin', cool song. Kind of a chill vibe. Just a really good song. Change of pace. Up to My Neck in You, Kicked in the Teeth. 2 bangers to close out the album. Probably should have closed it out with Riff Raff, in my opinion, but still, just a super, super solid album. Obviously, I'm going quicker through these Bon albums since they only had like 8 songs compared to 10 to 14 on the Brian Johnson stuff. Number 5, and this is where the list kind of takes a jump up for me. These 5 albums are just all-time fucking albums for me. Number 5, Fly on the Wall, 1985. This album just rocks so fucking hard, and I wish it was just mixed better. I don't know if they were like trying to hide Brian's vocals in some way, which just wouldn't make sense. I know he didn't have that same kind of full range that he did in Back in Black and For Those About to Rock, but he's still got some crazy powerful rasp on this album, and he's got some of the best ows, like that rock and roll ow. He's got some of the best screeches, the best howls. Just Danger. The howls in that song are just nasty. But this track list is just so hot. I wish it was mixed better because it would be number 5 on a lot more people's lists, but it actually somehow ends up being at the bottom of a lot of people's lists, and it makes me shake my head because it rocks so hard. Starts out with Fly on the Wall, great song, and Shake Your Foundations. Whew. Song will shake your foundations. What a fucking tune. First Blood, Danger. Those 2 songs are kind of like the bottom of the barrel on this album for me. Still great songs. First Blood, Danger. I mean, they're rocking songs just for this album. They're at the bottom. Sink the Pink, Playing with Girls, really good. Really, really good. Playing with Girls, some of the lyrics are kind of off-putting for me, but still, I mean, it just rocks so hard. These riffs and Brian's vocal delivery, everything is just so good. Stand Up, great song. Hell or High Water, even better song. What a song. 4.5 minutes of just rock and roll. Love it. I mean, what a chorus on Hell or High Water. Whew. That chorus is so good. And then Back in Business. Oh my god. If you haven't listened to Back in Business in a couple years, as I suspect you probably haven't, go fucking just pause this video and put Back in Business on right now. This song just goes so fucking hard. It's kind of like the sequel to Badlands. Those 2 songs are just so heavy. Some of the most rockin' AC/DC songs ever. And then we finish off with Send for the Man, an epic song, topping off an epic album. I just love it. It's just Brian's vocals probably are what steal it for me, because I wish they just weren't so buried in the mix, because these are some of his best vocals. He really was just laying it all out there. He didn't have that higher range really, so he was kind of making up for it with just such a powerful rasp, and it just made for such a kick-ass rock album. Number 4, Highway to Hell from 1979. Obviously the last album to feature Bon Scott. He passed away shortly after its release. And it's a shame too, man, because this is where AC/DC really started to fucking hit it off in the States. And 1979, 1980, this is when they took off. And their fucking singer dies. And then obviously they came out with Back in Black just to make that fairy tale story, or bittersweet story. But number 4, Highway to Hell, great fucking album. So many all-time ACDC songs here. Kicking it off with Highway to Hell, obviously an all-time classic, a classic rock staple. Girls Got Rhythm. I mean, this song just gets you going right away. Right when those drums kick in the beginning, and that riff, oh my god, so upbeat, it's so good. This song will get you boot stomping, it'll get you moving. Walk All Over You right after it, a good song. Change of pace kind of song for this album. Really cool song. 5 minutes 10 seconds. Number 4, Touch Too Much, 4.5 minutes. Fun fact, Axl Rose said that this was his favorite AC/DC song ever when he was filling in for Brian in 2016. Touch Too Much, I mean, what a song. Sounds a little bit too radio. It was just, I mean, that was just that production, but still, really good song. Beating Around the Bush right after it. Love the cheeky kind of riff on this song. Really good song. Shot Down in Flames, one of my top favorites on this album. Just what a good song. It's a riot. It's a party. Get It Hot. Really good song. What I like about Shot Down in Flames is it's self-deprecating, you know. Bond's just having fun with himself, striking out with some girls at the bar. But yeah, Get It Hot, decent song. One of the lesser ones on the album, but still really solid song. If You Want Blood, You Got It, towards the back of the album. What a song that is, man. Whew. If You Want Blood, You Got It. It rocks so hard. Love Hungry Man, not one of my favorites on this album. And Night Prowler, not a very good ender to me. Night Prowler and Love Hungry Man stinks, because I mean, this album could have been number 2 or number 3 on my list for sure. It kind of finishes with a bit of a whimper compared to the other songs. But Highway to Hell, Girls Got Rhythm, Touch Too Much, Shot Down in Flames, If You Want Blood, just all-time AC/DC songs, all-time fucking rock songs. Number 3 is Flick of the Switch from 1983. The third album with Brian Johnson on the vocals, and this, in my opinion, is Brian at his best. This is kind of like Brian's album, in my opinion. His lyrics on this album are so badass. It's kind of got like this outlaw vibe to the whole album. The songs are so rockin'. I love the mix. It just slaps you right in the fucking face. One of the heaviest AC/DC albums. This thing is just non-stop. Starts out with Rising Power and This House is on Fire. 2 really good songs, but not even the best on this album at all. Those are kind of like mid-tier in my opinion on this album. But then we get into the title track, Flick of the Switch. Just what a riff, what a song. Holy shit. Top 10 AC/DC song in my opinion. Nervous Shakedown, just a great song. Just so relatable about just a crooked cop, a crooked court system, a crooked world. Just a really good song. Good lyrics. Landslide, holy shit, this song goes absolutely fucking crazy. It's kind of like Fire Your Guns, but on fucking steroids. Holy shit, this song is crazy. Guns for Hire, pretty sure they opened a lot of shows in this time with Guns for Hire, and the song kicks ass. Great chorus, just it's a rockin' song. Deep in the Hole, what a song, man. I mean, the way this album ends is just this banger. All killer, no filler. You can definitely say that for these top 3 albums. Deep in the Hole, just so good. Bedlam in Belgium, what a song. Written on based on a true story. Just, I mean, the lyrics in the song. You want to talk about a riot of a song. Holy shit. And then you get into Badlands, the ultimate outlaw, heavy, hard rockin' song. Oh my god. Crazy vocals. Just this song will get you hitting your max bench. I mean, this song will just get you going. And then we finish it with Brain Shake. Not one of my favorites on the album. It's mid-tier. I wish they would have picked a different song to close it out. I mean, Bedlam in Belgium would have been a great closer in my opinion. Even Flick of the Switch would have been a cool closer. But all in all, this album is probably the most rockin' AC/DC album in my opinion. Maybe that might be Let There Be Rock, but it's definitely the most rockin' Brian Johnson album for sure. Alright, man. Number 2, Let There Be Rock, my favorite Bon Scott album. And I mean, if Back in Black just didn't have that legacy, the whole story behind Back in Black, and just, I mean, how it's one of the best-selling albums of all time, not even just rock albums, just best-selling albums, period. Let There Be Rock could easily be number 1. This track list is just insane. probably the most rockin' Bon Scott album. They were just fucking letting loose. I mean, that Let There Be Rock riff is just insane. But the album kicks off with Go Down. What a song. Holy shit, man. I mean, I could say that about this whole album. But Go Down is a 5.5-minute masterpiece. Dog Eat Dog. I mean, great writing. Great writing about this world, man. I mean, just an awesome song. Let There Be Rock at number 3. I mean, just an all-time AC/DC song, straight from the book of Bon. A 6-minute epic. Bad Boy Boogie. Holy shit. That Bad Boy Boogie riff is so fucking hard. That song gets me bouncing off the fucking walls. Problem Child also on this album. I think on this album, Problem Child doesn't have the same outro that it had on Dirty Deeds. Just what a song. Overdose, another 6-minute masterpiece. Holy shit. Overdose, what a song. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, another really cool, charmy song. I mean, what a chorus, great wordplay, great lyrics. And then we close out with Whole Lotta Rosie, another 5.5-minute masterpiece. This album is just so damn good. I mean, if this is your number 1 favorite album, I am saluting you, man, because some days it is mine too. But you know who I have to give number 1 to. Number 1, 1980s Back in Black. You know the story, man. I mean, Bon Scott passes away tragically. Months later, AC/DC's back with a new fucking singer, and what's crazy is they just started to break out worldwide. They just hit it big. Then their singer dies. The most important part of well, you could say the singer is the most important part of like 99% of bands, but not really AC/DC. It's the Young Brothers show. But I mean, Back in Black comes out with Brian Johnson in his vocal prime. They picked him up when he was already like an experienced singer, so he was right in his prime, power, range, everything. But obviously that kind of fizzled out. I mean, when you're singing like that, when you got those powerhouse vocals, obviously it's not gonna last forever. But the album kicks off with the ominous Hell's Bells. Oh my god. I mean, it's just this album is just picture perfect. That bittersweet fairy tale. Kicking it off with Hell's Bells. Could it be any more perfect? Written about the storm that's going on while they're writing and recording the album in the Bahamas in some studio. Then we come out with Shoot to Thrill. Oh my god. Kicks you right in the ass. What an epic song. It's kind of like a deeper cut on the album, but it's still a radio hit. A classic rock all-timer. What Do You Do for Money, Honey? What a cool song. That and Giving the Dog a Bone are just deep cuts on this album. That could be hits on every other AC/DC album, but this album is just all hits. You want to talk all killer, no filler. Holy shit, this album is obviously so good. Let Me Put My Love Into You, it's that change of pace song on this album, and it's really good. And Let Me Cut Your Cake with My Knife. It doesn't get any better than that. And they come in with Back in Black, just kicking off the B-side, crazy good. Obviously an all-timer. You Shook Me All Night Long. You could say what you want about it. Obviously, it's overplayed. Obviously, AC/DC super fans aren't going to be crazy about it, but you still got to give credit where it's due. This song's an all-timer. Have a Drink on Me, Shake a Leg, 2 other songs that are kind of middle tier for this album, but they're all-timers, especially Have a Drink on Me. What a song. When he's ripping into that chorus right after the bridge, I mean, just the song turns into a riot. Shake a Leg, good song. Shake a Leg's my least favorite on the album. It's kind of like in a tier of itself. The other songs are all just all-timers. Shake a Leg just never did it for me. But Rock and Roll, Ain't Noise Pollution, perfect closer to this album, man. I mean, Back in Black, I could dedicate a whole video to this album. I probably will one day, but it's just that good. Honestly, Back in Black, best album of all time? I mean, I'm gonna say it, honestly. Best rock album of all time. Back in fucking Black. 1980. I know I didn't include their Jailbreak EP from the 70s that had some really, really cool songs on it. I mean, Show Business and some more. But, I mean, it's an EP. It's a 5 or 6 song EP, so it just doesn't fit on this list. It just wouldn't be fair. But, yeah, let me know your favorite AC/DC albums in the comments down below. And let me know some video ideas that you want me to make on AC/DC. Some top songs or anything else on AC/DC. Just to give you guys a teaser, it might be sacrilege to include this in this video for some of you, but my next video is going to be a retrospective on the epic Axl DC 2016 run of live shows. Peace.